This monitor fixes Sony's biggest problem that their cameras have when using an external screen. With other monitors, you have to choose between a clean feed that's full screen or be able to view your settings but have an awful cropped image with black bars on the sides. Well, with the PortKeys LH7C, you can get that full screen clean image and not only see all of your settings, but also adjust them too from the monitor. In this video, I'm going to show you how this monitor works and tell you why it feels like a part of your camera rather than just an accessory. Also, for the sake of ethics, this video is sponsored by PortKeys, which makes it more of a showcase than a review. Getting right into it then, this is the LH7C, and this monitor has a very high quality 7-inch 1080p LCD screen that goes up to 1000 nits of brightness, which is great because even if you're filming outside on a bright and sunny day, you are still going to be able to see exactly what you're filming because the screen can get bright enough for you to see it. The colors and contrast are excellent too. This is a fantastic LCD panel that will look great no matter what camera you are using it with. Now, from a build quality standpoint, the monitor body is a lightweight plastic, which I've used plenty of metal monitors in the past, but I actually really like this plastic design because it still feels well built, but it is significantly lighter, and that means that you should feel comfortable leaving this on your camera all day. If you're a wedding filmmaker who's going to be filming long days, this monitor is light enough that you could leave it on your rig the entire wedding day, from prep through the reception without getting too tired. Of course, to use it with your camera, you're going to need to mount it somewhere, and I have good news. There are mounting points on the bottom as well as on each side of the monitor as well. Plus, it comes with a tilting cold shoe adapter, so regardless of whether you are filming horizontal or vertical, you're going to be able to very easily mount this monitor in any direction, and because it's so lightweight, I would feel comfortable using this on your camera hot shoe mount without damaging it. In addition, I really like the power options that PortKeys gives you because this monitor is very versatile. On the bottom, there is a barrel connector for hard wiring, and on the back, you have a Sony NP-F battery mount, which is pretty ubiquitous for monitors these days. But what sets this monitor apart, though, is all the power adapters that PortKeys has available for it. I have here the BD3 and BD4 adapters, and the BD3 will let you directly attach a V-mount battery and adapt that to work as an NP-F battery with the monitor, which is great. But even better, the BD4 will allow you to power the monitor and a wireless video transmitter simultaneously with one V-mount power supply. So you have a lot of power options here. You could run a really stripped down rig with just an NP-F battery to keep things lightweight, which is what I would probably recommend for a wedding. But if you want to be able to power your rig for much longer with minimal need to swap batteries, building out a larger V-mount power setup is still very easy to do with this system, and I'm a big fan of it. Speaking of fans, the LH7C does have a fan inside it, but you can turn it off if you need whatever you're filming to be completely silent. With the fan off, it will limit the brightness of the monitor, but it's still plenty bright enough to film indoors, and if you're filming outdoors, you shouldn't need to worry about fan noise anyways. Now, one thing that PortKeys have done to really set this monitor apart from their competition is the crazy amount of compatibility that they have given this monitor over others when it comes to camera control. The LH7C is capable of controlling many of the settings across a wide variety of different cameras from different manufacturers, and it's really impressive. As I said at the start of this video, using an external monitor with a Sony camera has been a problem for years, but here is how the LH7C fixes that. All you have to do is connect your camera to the monitor with this really useful combo HDMI and data cable, which requires you to only plug one HDMI cable into the monitor, while the other end of the cable will connect to the camera's HDMI and USB Type-C ports. Plus, this cable supports up to an 8K signal, so even if you're working with a very high-resolution camera, it will work with this monitor. Once connected, you will immediately have access to most of your camera settings on the bottom and top of the monitor itself, and this is such a fantastic implementation. With other monitors, you have to do a weird workaround where you're using the monitor as your screen, but if you want to change focus, you have to tap on the camera screen, and don't even get me started on changing a setting like white balance. To do that, you basically have to ignore the monitor completely and focus fully on your camera's tiny display to adjust those settings. Now, some of the blame for this falls on Sony because their cameras have two modes. One is where they output a clean signal with just the video footage and nothing else, while the other is a signal with all of the camera settings visible, but the footage is also weirdly cropped on the sides and it looks gross. PortKeys, though, has the solution with their excellent camera integration, because this lets you view the full uncropped image of the monitor while also allowing you access to all of the most important settings at the top and bottom of the screen. With one tap, you can adjust settings like your aperture and your shutter speed and your ISO. And remember that white balance? Oh yeah, that's right up here. You want to do a preset? Just tap on whichever one you want. It's so great. And heck, you can even control lens zoom if you have a power zoom lens. There's also focus controls. You can tap focus and then swap between autofocus and manual focus, or change your focus area. And best of all, the LH7C supports tap to focus and track to focus that work extremely well. To enable it, all you have to do is tap the focus button, and anywhere you tap on the screen, the camera will focus on, just like using the screen on the back of your Sony camera. You can also swap to tap to track focus and follow an object around the screen too. It works so well. If you want to disable the touchscreen entirely, there's a helpful switch at the top of the monitor, as well as 4 programmable buttons that you can customize to change any setting that you want. This is really the best way to use a monitor with a Sony camera, and I have to say, the compatibility and access to all of these camera settings really help make this monitor feel like an extension of the camera rather than a completely separate accessory. Like I said earlier, I'm someone who usually prefers to film events like weddings very stripped down with just the camera, because adding an external monitor feels like I'm just bolting on an accessory that isn't really a seamless part of the rig. But the LH7C is making me rethink that position, because this is a monitor that you could leave attached to your camera rig all the time, ready for you to use and control the camera, and I'm a big fan of how well it works. Now, in addition to these camera controls, the MoveNorm operating system that the monitor uses has a lot of other very useful features, including things that you would expect and appreciate on a full-featured external monitor like this one, like 3D LUT support, where you can install up to 20 of your own LUTs for monitoring, D-Squeeze for anamorphic lenses with a ton of different presets, crosshairs and grids, peaking across the whole monitor or in a smaller frame that you can adjust in size, plus a ton of useful exposure tools like Luma waveforms and RGB waveforms, histograms, zebras, false color, all of which have a ton of customization and can be moved around the screen to different positions. Another feature that PortKeys recently added to the LH7C in a firmware update is a very useful feature called log stops. When you enable this log stops feature, you can basically think of it as a very advanced form of false color, where you can tell the monitor the exact camera brand and specific log color profile your camera is filming in, so it can show you a very accurate exposure level for everything on the screen. This is way more advanced than the general colors that you usually get when using a traditional false color monitoring overlay, and it makes checking your exposure when filming significantly easier, because this log stops profile will show you not only exactly where your highlights are clipping, but also where your skin tones look their best. It's also very customizable, so if you are someone like me and you prefer to overexpose Sony footage by 1 to 2 stops to help prevent noise in your shadows, you can actually go in and customize the log stop colors for each exposure level, making it really easy to tell at a glance if you are exposed to the exact level you want to be. Log stops is one of those features that once you start using it, you're going to question how you ever lived without it, and it is a huge benefit when using this monitor. This is a very full-featured monitor, and PortKeys have done a great job of making a camera accessory that doesn't feel like one. It feels more like a fully integrated part of your camera system, and that is something that filmmakers are really going to appreciate. Take all of the monitors, zebras, and scopes the LH7C offers, then add in arguably the best way to control a camera with an external monitor ever, and I think you will agree that this is a very compelling option for you to consider if you're filming weddings or corporate or commercial videos or anything else where you need a reliable monitor that will work very well with your camera. I will link to the PortKeys LH7C below, as well as to my filmmaker gear guide that will show you all of the best camera gear that I recommend. You can download this guide completely for free at the link in the video description. Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Have a